The twin suns of Kepler 16 billion cast long shadows across the crystalline plains as the interstellar transport ship descended through the atmosphere. Inside, Nova pressed her face against the viewport, her emerald eyes wide with wonder. The 12-year-old girl had never seen anything like this before, a world of shimmering structures that seemed to grow organically from the ground, their facets refracting the alien sunlight into dazzling rainbows. "Look, Cosmos," she exclaimed, scratching behind the ears of the large, wolf-like creature sitting beside her. Cosmos let out a low, rumbling sound of contentment, his silver-blue fur rippling as he leaned into Nova's touch. "It's so beautiful and weird." From the seat behind them, Nova's father, Dr. Elias Starling, chuckled. "That it is, sweetheart. Kepler 16 billion is unlike anything we've ever encountered before. The Luminarians have created a truly remarkable civilization here." Nova turned to face her father, her brow furrowed with curiosity. "Dad, why did the Luminarians invite us here, and why did they want us to bring Cosmos?" Dr. Starling's expression grew serious. He ran a hand through his graying hair, a habit Nova recognized as a sign he was choosing his words carefully. "The Luminarians are dying out, Nova. Their population has been declining for centuries, and they've been searching the galaxy for a solution. They believe that studying Earth creatures, particularly the unique bond between humans and dogs, might hold the key to their survival." Nova's eyes widened. "But how? Cosmos is just a regular dog, isn't he?" Her father smiled enigmatically. "Cosmos is special, Nova, more special than you know. But that's a conversation for another time. For now, just remember, be respectful of the Luminarians, follow their customs, and above all, be careful. This world is beautiful, but it can also be dangerous." As if on cue, the ship's intercom crackled to life. "Attention passengers, we are beginning our final descent to Lumina City. Please secure all belongings and prepare for landing." Nova hugged Cosmos tightly, burying her face in his thick fur. The dog nuzzled her reassuringly, sensing her mix of excitement and apprehension. As the ship touched down with a gentle thud, Nova took a deep breath. A new chapter of her life was about to begin, on a world beyond her wildest dreams. The air of Kepler 16 billion was thick and sweet, like breathing in a field of flowers. Nova stepped off the transport ramp, Cosmos padding silently beside her. The spaceport was a marvel of alien architecture, spiraling towers of crystal and light that seemed to defy gravity, pulsing with an inner luminescence that matched the rhythm of Nova's heartbeat. A small delegation awaited them at the base of the ramp. Nova's breath caught in her throat as she got her first close-up look at a Luminarian. The alien beings were tall and slender, with iridescent skin that shimmered and changed colors like the surface of a soap bubble. They had no discernible facial features, save for a cluster of softly glowing orbs where eyes might be on a human. Long, graceful tentacles served as both arms and legs, moving with a fluid grace that made them appear to be floating rather than walking. The lead Luminarian approached, its skin cycling through a series of colors before settling on a soft, welcoming blue. When it spoke, the words seemed to form directly in Nova's mind, bypassing her ears entirely. "Welcome to Lumina City, honored guests from Earth. I am HFY, your liaison during your stay with us. We are most grateful for your willingness to assist in our research." Dr. Starling stepped forward, bowing slightly. "Thank you for your hospitality, HFY. I am Dr. Elias Starling, and this is my daughter, Nova, and our canine companion, Cosmos." HFY's attention shifted to Nova and Cosmos. The alien's skin rippled with curiosity, and Nova felt a gentle probing sensation in her mind. "Fascinating," HFY transmitted. "The bond between the young one and the Earth beast is strong. This will prove most valuable to our studies." Nova felt a surge of protectiveness. "Cosmos isn't a beast," she said, her voice quavering slightly. "He's my friend." To her surprise, HFY's skin flushed a warm pink. "Apologies, young Nova. I meant no offense. We have much to learn about your species and its companions. Please, follow me to your accommodations. There is much to discuss." As they walked through the winding streets of Lumina City, Nova's head swiveled constantly, trying to take in all the wonders around her. The buildings seemed alive, pulsing with light and changing shape subtly as they passed. Luminarians of all sizes glided by, their skin a riot of colors that Nova gradually realized was a form of communication. Cosmos stayed close to Nova's side, his ears pricked forward and his nose working overtime to process the alien scents. Several times, passing luminarians paused to regard the dog with evident fascination, their tentacles twitching as if resisting the urge to reach out and touch him. Finally, they arrived at a towering spire that seemed to be made entirely of light given solid form. SCI guided them inside, where the walls shimmered and shifted to create doorways and rooms as needed. "These will be your quarters during your stay," SCI explained, gesturing to a large, open space that morphed into a rough approximation of Earth-style living arrangements before their eyes. "We have attempted to recreate a comfortable environment based on our understanding of human needs. Please inform us if any adjustments are required." "Doctor." Starling nodded appreciatively. "This is more than adequate, thank you. When do you wish to begin the research?" SCI's skin flickered with a pattern that Nova interpreted as hesitation. "There is a complication we must discuss first, but it can wait until you have rested. The journey between worlds is taxing, even for one as young and vibrant as Nova." As if on cue, Nova felt a wave of exhaustion wash over her. The excitement and wonder of the day caught up with her all at once, and she swayed slightly on her feet. Cosmos whined softly, pressing against her leg to steady her. "Rest now," SCI transmitted gently. "Tomorrow, we will show you the true wonders of our world and the dire need that brought you here." As the luminarian glided out of the room, Nova collapsed onto the strange, pulsing substance that served as a bed. Cosmos jumped up beside her, curling his large body protectively around her. "What do you think?" Boy Nova murmured, stroking his fur. "What secrets are the luminarians hiding?" Cosmos huffed softly, resting his head on her chest. Nova felt the steady thump of his heart, so familiar and comforting on this alien world. As she drifted off to sleep, strange dreams danced behind her eyelids, visions of shimmering cities, dying stars, and a great darkness lurking at the edge of the galaxy. Nova awoke to the gentle chiming of crystal bells, a sound that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. Cosmos was already alert, his ears perked and his tail wagging slowly as he watched the room's walls pulse with soft, morning light. As Nova sat up, rubbing the sleep from her eyes, a portion of the wall shimmered and parted, revealing her father. "Doctor." Starling looked as if he hadn't slept at all, his eyes bright with a mixture of excitement and concern. "Good morning, sweetheart," he said, his voice tight. "The luminarians have called a meeting. They're ready to explain why we're here." Nova quickly dressed in the strange, shimmering fabric the luminarians had provided. It felt like liquid silk against her skin, adjusting its temperature to keep her perfectly comfortable. Cosmos stayed close by her side as they followed Dr. Starling through the twisting corridors of the spire. They emerged into a vast chamber that seemed to be open to the sky, though Nova could see no visible means of support for the crystalline dome far above. A group of luminarians waited for them, their skin cycling through a range of colors that Nova was beginning to recognize as a sign of agitation. SCI glided forward to greet them. "Thank you for coming so quickly. We have much to discuss, and time grows short." "Doctor." Starling nodded gravely. "We're ready to hear whatever you have to say." SCI's skin darkened to a deep blue, and Nova felt a wave of sorrow wash over her mind. For millennia, our civilization has thrived on the energy of our binary star system. We evolved to absorb and manipulate light itself, using it to sustain our bodies and power our technology. But now, that light is failing us. With a graceful gesture, SCI caused the air around them to shimmer and change. Suddenly, they were surrounded by a three-dimensional star map, with Kepler 16 billion and its twin suns at the center. "Our scientists have discovered that our stars are dying," SCI continued, the star map zooming in to show the roiling surface of the suns, far more rapidly than they should be. "Within a few generations, they will no longer provide the specific frequencies of light our species needs to survive." Nova gasped, her hand instinctively reaching for Cosmos's reassuring presence. "But can't you just move, find another star system?" Another luminarian, its skin a mottled green and brown, moved forward. "If only it were that simple, young one. Our biology is intricately linked to this specific star system. We cannot survive long away from it. We have sent expeditions to other worlds, but they always end in tragedy. Doctor. Starling's brow furrowed. I still don't understand how we can help. Earth's sun is nothing like your binary system. Zixai's skin rippled with a pattern Nova hadn't seen before, something like hope tinged with desperation. It is not your sun we are interested in, Dr. Starling. It is the unique bond your species shares with your canine companions. All eyes in the chamber turned to Cosmos, who sat calmly at Nova's side, seemingly unperturbed by the alien attention. Our scientists have detected an energy signature emanating from the connection between humans and dogs, Zixai explained. It is subtle, barely detectable, even with our most advanced technology, but it bears a striking similarity to the energy our bodies need to survive. Nova looked down at Cosmos in wonder. Is that true, Dad? Do Cosmos and I really give off some kind of energy? Doctor. Starling nodded slowly. It's why I agreed to this mission, Nova. For years I've been studying the unique bond between humans and dogs. There's something there that defies conventional scientific explanation. The Luminarians' technology finally gave us the means to detect and measure it. Zixai continued, we believe that if we can understand and harness this energy, we may be able to use it to sustain our species, even as our stars fade. But we need your help to study it, to understand how it is generated and maintained. Nova felt a mix of emotions swirling inside her: pride at being part of something so important, fear of the unknown, and a fierce protectiveness toward Cosmos. We'll help however we can, she said, her voice stronger than she expected. But you have to promise not to hurt Cosmos or any other dogs. The Luminarian's skin rippled with patterns of reassurance. We would never harm another sentient being, Zixai transmitted. Our studies will be entirely non-invasive. We simply wish to observe and measure the energy you and Cosmos generate together. Doctor. Starling put a hand on Nova's shoulder. It's okay, sweetheart. I've reviewed their research protocols. Cosmos will be perfectly safe. Nova nodded, but a nagging doubt lingered in the back of her mind. As she looked around the chamber at the alien faces, she couldn't shake the feeling that the Luminarians weren't telling them everything. Cosmos pressed against her leg, as if sensing her unease. Nova scratched behind his ears, drawing comfort from his solid presence. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together. The days that followed were a whirlwind of activity. Nova and Cosmos were subjected to a battery of tests, most of which involved nothing more strenuous than spending time together in various settings while surrounded by softly humming Luminarian devices. Dr. Starling worked tirelessly alongside the alien scientists, poring over data and engaging in long discussions that Nova could only partly follow. But as fascinating as the research was, Nova found herself increasingly drawn to explore Lumina City. With her father's reluctant permission, she and Cosmos began to venture out into the alien metropolis, marveling at its ever-changing architecture and the complex society of the Luminarians. It was during one of these explorations, nearly 2 weeks into their stay, that Nova stumbled upon something unexpected. She and Cosmos had wandered into a quieter part of the city, where the buildings were older and less inclined to shift and change. As they rounded a corner, Cosmos suddenly stopped, his ears pricked forward, and a low growl rumbling in his chest. What is it? Boy Nova whispered, instantly alert. She had learned to trust Cosmos's instincts, especially in this alien environment. The dog's gaze was fixed on a narrow alley between two crystalline structures. As Nova peered into the shadows, she saw a flicker of movement, something small and fast, darting from one hiding spot to another. Curiosity overcame caution, and Nova took a step forward. Hello, she called softly. Is someone there? For a moment, there was only silence. Then, to Nova's astonishment, a small creature emerged from the shadows. It was unlike anything she had seen on Kepler 16 billion, so far about the size of a cat, with 6 legs, iridescent scales, and large, luminous eyes. It regarded Nova and Cosmos warily, its body tense and ready to flee. Nova's heart raced with excitement. She had been told that Kepler 16 billion had no native animal life, that the Luminarians were the planet's sole sentient species. Yet here was clear evidence to the contrary. Slowly, carefully, Nova knelt down, trying to appear as non-threatening as possible. "It's okay," she murmured. "We won't hurt you." The creature tilted its head, as if considering her words. Then, to Nova's amazement, she felt a gentle probe in her mind similar to how the Luminarians communicated, but somehow warmer, more organic. "Friend?" The word formed in her thoughts, accompanied by a sense of cautious hope. "Yes," Nova replied aloud, smiling. "Friend." The creature took a hesitant step forward, then another. Cosmos, who had been watching intently, slowly lowered himself to the ground, his posture relaxed and unthreatening. As the alien animal drew closer, Nova could see the intricate patterns on its scales, swirling and shifting like the surface of a soap bubble. It reached out one delicate, six-fingered paw and gently touched Nova's knee. A flood of images and emotions washed over Nova's mind. She saw flashes of a vast underground network of caves, teeming with creatures like this one. She felt their fear and confusion as the world above changed, as the light that sustained them began to dim, and she sensed a deep, ancient connection to the Luminarians, a connection that had been severed long ago. The contact lasted only a moment before the creature withdrew, its eyes wide and curious. Nova blinked, trying to process what she had seen and felt. "Who are you?" she whispered. "What are you?" The creature's response came not in words, but in a series of mental impressions. Nova understood that these beings called themselves the Echoes, and that they were the original inhabitants of Kepler 16 billion. They had retreated underground eons ago, when the Luminarians first arrived and began reshaping the planet's surface. But now, with the stars dying, the Echoes were running out of places to hide. The energy that sustained them was fading, just as it was for the Luminarians above. Nova's mind reeled with the implications. Did the Luminarians know about the Echoes? If they did, why had they kept their existence a secret? And if they didn't know, how could an entire civilization have remained hidden for so long? The Echo creature seemed to sense her confusion. It pressed its paw against her knee once more, and Nova received another burst of impressions. She saw the Echoes watching from the shadows as the Luminarians built their shimmering cities. She felt their longing to reconnect, to share the world once more, but also their fear of being discovered and possibly destroyed. Nova looked down at Cosmos, who was watching the interaction with keen interest. An idea began to form in her mind. If the energy created by the bond between humans and dogs could potentially save the Luminarians, could it also help the Echoes? "We want to help," Nova said softly, both aloud and in her mind. "Both you and the Luminarians. Maybe if we all work together, we can find a solution." The Echo tilted its head, considering. Then it turned and scampered a few steps back into the alley, looking over its shoulder at Nova expectantly. Nova hesitated. She knew she should probably tell her father or SCI about this discovery first, but something told her that might be a mistake. The Echoes had remained hidden for a reason, and she didn't want to betray their trust. "What do you think, Cosmos?" she whispered. "Should we go with it?" Cosmos looked up at her, his intelligent eyes seeming to convey understanding. He wagged his tail once, then stood and took a step toward the Echo. Taking a deep breath, Nova nodded. "Okay," she said. "Lead the way." The Echo chittered softly, the first audible sound Nova had heard it make, and darted deeper into the alley. Nova and Cosmos followed, leaving the familiar parts of Luminous City behind. As they walked, the crystalline structures around them grew older and more organic-looking. Nova realized they were entering parts of the city that had been abandoned or forgotten by the Luminarians. The air grew cooler, and the omnipresent hum of Luminarian technology faded away. Finally, they reached what appeared to be a dead end. The Echo approached the smooth crystal wall and placed all 6 of its paws against it. The surface rippled like water, and a hidden doorway appeared. Nova hesitated at the threshold. She knew that stepping through could change everything: her relationship with the Luminarians, the outcome of her father's research, perhaps even the fate of 2 civilizations. But the weight of the Echo's memories, the sense of ancient wisdom and desperate need, pushed her forward. "Come on, Cosmos," she whispered. "Let's see where this leads." Together, the girl, the dog, and the Echo stepped through the doorway and into the hidden heart of Kepler 16 billion. The world beyond the hidden door was like nothing Nova had ever seen or imagined. They emerged into a vast cavern, its ceiling so high it was lost in shadows. But it was far from dark. The entire space was illuminated by a soft, pulsing bioluminescence that seemed to come from the very walls themselves. Structures that looked like a cross between coral reefs and circuit boards grew from the cavern floor, forming intricate spirals and lattices, and everywhere Nova looked, she saw echoes, hundreds of them, perhaps thousands, going about their daily lives in this hidden underground realm. The echo that had led them here chittered excitedly, and suddenly Nova and Cosmos found themselves surrounded by curious onlookers. The mental impressions she received were a jumble of excitement, fear, and hope. Surface dwellers, the thoughts came. Why here? How find? Danger, hope. Nova took a deep breath, trying to organize her thoughts. We mean you no harm, she said aloud, projecting the sentiment as clearly as she could in her mind. We want to help. Both you and the Luminarians are in danger from the dying stars. Maybe together we can find a solution. There was a ripple of communication among the echoes, too fast and complex for Nova to follow. Then the crowd parted, and a larger echo approached. Its scales shimmered with deeper, richer colors, and Nova sensed immediately that this was a being of great importance. I am the Elder, the thought came, clearer and stronger than the others. You are brave to come here, young one, but how can you help us? The Luminarians have forgotten us, and the light fades. Nova gestured to Cosmos. My father is working with the Luminarians to study the energy created by the bond between humans and dogs. They think it might be able to sustain them as the stars die. Maybe it could help you too. The Elder Echo approached Cosmos, who sat calmly, his tail wagging slowly. The Echo extended a paw, hesitating just short of touching the dog. Nova nodded encouragingly, and the Echo made contact. Immediately, Nova felt a surge of energy in the air. The bioluminescence in the cavern pulsed brighter, and the Elder Echo's scales began to glow with an inner light. All around them, the other echoes chittered and swayed, as if feeling the energy too. After a moment, the Elder withdrew its paw, its large eyes blinking rapidly. Extraordinary, the thought came. There is power here, yes, power that might sustain us. But it is not a solution alone. It must be combined with the Luminarians' technology. Nova's heart raced with excitement. Then we need to tell them about you. If we all work together. But the Elder's mental tone turned dark. No, the Luminarians drove us underground long ago. They reshaped our world without care for its original inhabitants. We cannot trust them. But things are different now, Nova argued. They're dying too. They're looking for a solution, just like you. If they knew you were here, they would see us as a threat, the Elder interrupted, or worse, as a resource to be exploited. No, young one, we cannot reveal ourselves. Nova felt tears of frustration welling up in her eyes. She was so close to a solution, she could feel it. But how could she bring two civilizations together when one refused to even acknowledge the other's existence? Cosmos, sensing her distress, pressed against her leg. As Nova absently stroked his fur, she had an idea. What if she began slowly? What if we didn't tell them about you directly? What if we just guided their research, led them to discover you on their own? The Elder Echo tilted its head, considering. Explain. My father and the Luminarian scientists are brilliant, but they're missing a piece of the puzzle. If we could somehow lead them to expand their research, to look deeper into the planet's energy systems, they might discover you on their own. And if they think it's their own discovery, they might be more open to working together. There was a long moment of silence as the Elder communicated with the other echoes. Nova held her breath, acutely aware that the fate of two civilizations might hinge on this moment. Finally, the Elder turned back to her. Your plan has merit, young one, but it is risky. If the Luminarians react with fear or aggression upon discovering us, all could be lost. Nova nodded solemnly. I understand. But isn't it worth the risk? If we do nothing, both your people and the Luminarians will die when the stars fade. The Elder's scales shimmered with a pattern Nova interpreted as reluctant agreement. Very well. We will provide you with information, subtle clues that your father and the Luminarians can follow, but you must swear to keep our existence secret until the right moment. The survival of our people depends on your discretion. I swear, Nova said firmly, placing her hand on Cosmos's head. We both do. The elder approached and placed a paw on Nova's forehead. She felt a rush of information flooding into her mind, ancient secrets about Kepler 16 billion's energy systems, hints about the true nature of the bond between species, and whispers of a power that could save them all. As the connection faded, Nova blinked, feeling as if she had just downloaded an entire library into her brain. Thank you, she whispered. Go now, the elder transmitted. Your absence will soon be noticed. Remember, young one, the fate of two worlds rests in your hands. Nova nodded, her expression determined. As she and Cosmos turned to leave, guided by their original Echo friend, she felt the weight of her new responsibilities settling on her shoulders. But she also felt hope, a fragile, newborn thing that nevertheless burned brightly in her heart. Together, girl and dog stepped back through the hidden door, leaving the underground kingdom behind. But the secrets they carried with them would soon change everything for the Echoes, for the Luminarians, and for the future of Kepler 16 billion itself. The journey back to the familiar parts of Lumina City seemed to take both an eternity and no time at all. Nova's mind raced, trying to process everything she had learned and seen in the Echo's underground realm. Cosmos padded silently beside her, occasionally glancing up, as if to make sure she was okay. As they emerged from the older, abandoned sectors of the city, Nova was startled to hear her name being called. She looked up to see SCI gliding towards them, the Luminarian's skin cycling through patterns of relief and concern. Nova, we've been searching for you, SCI transmitted. Your father is worried sick. Where have you been? Nova hesitated, acutely aware of the secrets she now carried. I'm sorry, she said, trying to keep her voice steady. Cosmos and I were exploring, and we got a little lost. This city is so big and always changing. SCI's skin rippled with what Nova had come to recognize as a mix of understanding and gentle admonishment. It is easy to lose one's way here, yes, but please, in the future, do not wander so far without informing us. This world can be dangerous for those unfamiliar with it. As they made their way back to the research center, Nova's mind worked furiously. She needed to find a way to guide the research without revealing the Echo's existence, at least not yet. But how? Her father was waiting for them at the entrance to the lab, his face a mix of relief and lingering worry. He hugged Nova tightly. Don't scare me like that again, sweetheart, he murmured. I'm sorry, Dad, Nova replied, hugging him back. Then, seizing the opportunity, she added, but you won't believe what Cosmos and I found while we were exploring. Doctor. Starling raised an eyebrow. Oh, and what's that? Nova launched into a carefully edited version of their adventure, describing the older parts of the city and the strange energy fluctuations they had noticed. She sprinkled in bits of the information the Elder Echo had given her, presenting them as observations and hunches. And I was thinking, Dad, she concluded, trying to keep her voice casual, what if the energy you're studying, the bond between Cosmos and me, isn't just about us? What if it's connected to the planet somehow? To the way the Luminarians use light and energy? Doctor. Starling's eyes lit up with scientific curiosity. That's actually a fascinating hypothesis, Nova. We've been so focused on the direct interaction between human and canine, we might have been missing the bigger picture. SCI, who had been listening intently, chimed in. The child may be onto something, Doctor. Starling. Our own studies have always hinted at a deeper connection between all living things on our world, but we've never been able to fully quantify or harness it. Nova felt a surge of hope. They were taking the bait. Now she just had to keep them moving in the right direction without revealing too much too soon. Over the next few weeks, Nova watched with a mix of excitement and anxiety as the research took on a new dimension. Her father and the Luminarian scientists expanded their experiments, probing deeper into the energy systems of Kepler 16 billion itself. Nova did her best to subtly guide their efforts, asking questions that led them closer to the truth without giving it away entirely. Cosmos, seeming to sense the importance of their task, was a model of cooperation, patiently enduring long scanning sessions and energy measurements. But as the research progressed, Nova noticed a change coming over the Luminarians. They seemed more energized, their colors brighter and more vibrant. At first, she thought it was just excitement over the new discoveries. But then she overheard a conversation between SCI and her father that made her blood run cold. The energy readings are off the charts, SCI was saying, her skin pulsing with excitement. If we can find the source, harness it fully, we might not only save our people, but ascend to a whole new level of existence. Doctor. Starling's voice was cautious. We need to be careful, SCI. We don't fully understand what we're dealing with here. If we rush this... We don't have time for caution, SCI interrupted, an edge to her mental voice that Nova had never heard before. Our stars are dying, Doctor. My people are dying. If there's even a chance this energy could save us, we must seize it, whatever the cost. Nova backed away from the lab door, her heart pounding. This was exactly what the Elder Echo had feared, the Luminarians seeing the planet's hidden energy as a resource to be exploited, rather than a delicate balance to be maintained. She hurried back to her room, Cosmos trotting at her heels. As she sat on the edge of her bed, head in her hands, she felt a gentle nudge against her knee. She looked down to see Cosmos gazing up at her, his eyes full of understanding and unwavering support. "Oh, Cosmos," she whispered, burying her face in his fur. "What have I done? I was trying to help everyone, but I might have just made things worse." As Nova held Cosmos close, her mind raced. She had set these events in motion, and now she had to find a way to guide them to a peaceful resolution. But how could she bring the Luminarians and the Echoes together when there was so much mistrust and potential for conflict? The fate of two civilizations hung in the balance, and Nova realized that the hardest part of her journey was still to come. As the twin suns of Kepler 16 billion set outside her window, casting the alien city in an ethereal glow, Nova made a silent vow. She would find a way to save both the Luminarians and the Echoes. She would bridge the gap between two ancient species and help them build a future together, and she would do it all without betraying the trust that had been placed in her. As if sensing her determination, Cosmos let out a soft woof of encouragement. Nova scratched behind his ears, drawing strength from their bond. "Thanks, boy," she murmured. "We've got a lot of work to do."